Hello everyone, welcome to my another exciting lecture on job analysis. Now job analysis is a very interesting topic, my dear friends, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy this lecture like anything. So till now let me recapitalize what we have done. We just spoke about something related with HRM, its features, its functions, its scope, its objectives, and then yesterday we talked about something which is related as human resource planning. Now, once we are through with the human resource planning, the next step that we talk about is related with the job analysis. Now, let's go and check out what job analysis is all about. Now, job analysis is nothing but is basically a process where we are trying to identify that which are the duties or responsibilities that one has to undertake if one does that job, or what is the minimum criteria that one has to follow if one wants to be in that particular position. So, as you can see on the screen, job analysis is nothing but is just the process of gathering and analyzing information about the content and the human requirements of job as well as the context in which the jobs are performed. This process is used to determine placement of jobs. Under NU values, the decision making in this area is shared by the units of HR. According to D and P Robbins, a job analysis is a systematic exploration of the activities within a job. It is basic technical procedure, one that is used to define the duties, responsibilities and accountabilities of a job. According to Edwin B. Filippo, job analysis is the process of studying and collecting information relating to the operations and responsibilities of a specific job. Now, we know that in any organization there are number of job profiles and each job require a different set of duty and responsibility and the minimum criteria. So, this process of studying those duties and responsibilities of a particular job is only known as job analysis. Now, job analysis is done in almost all the job categories, whether the company is big or whether the company is small. Job analysis is always performed because it helps us in the various ways. Because if anyone comes in any organization, the person should be well aware what are the duties that he is supposed to perform and what are the responsibilities that one has to undertake. For example, if anyone is coming in the organization, the person should know in which location, in which department the person is going to work, or maybe the person should be aware of the fact which kind of tools and machinery he will be working on, who is going to supervise him, what will be the location, so on and so forth. So, basically job analysis is nothing but it's just deciding the contents of a job. We should know what are the contents of the job in terms of your skills, maybe in terms of your education, in terms of your qualification, in terms of your duties, in terms of your responsibilities, in terms of your accountabilities, so on and so forth. So, basically job analysis is a very important function which is performed by HR executives or HR department or HR manager, because before they proceed with the recruitment, the job analysis should be well aware. Because what happens is that once people who are being interviewed or people who are trying to join the company, at least they should know what are the responsibilities. So, it is only possible that they would come to know about the duties and responsibilities once the job analysis part is all complete. So, as you can see on the screen, this chart is again taken up from my own book on human resource management by Dr. Rakhi Gupta. Now, these are the objectives of job analysis. Now, when we talk about job analysis is helpful in identifying the competencies predictive of performance and fit. Job analysis is a process where judgments are made about the data collected on a job. So, if we talk about the objectives of job analysis, the first one is related with the HRP. Now, the main purpose of HRP is to have an accurate number of employees required with matching skill to accomplish the organizational goals. The ultimate objective of HRP is to relate future human resource to future needs. The second one, which you can see on the screen, is all related with the recruitment and selection. Now, we know that recruitment is the process where we are trying to get a pool from where the best candidates can be selected. So, HRP aims at planning, deciding about the demand and supply of the workforce, and recruitment help us to see what kind of people do we require. So, it is the job analyst that provides the information related to the skills and duties and the responsibilities which are required for a particular job. Thus, the selection is only possible once we know what kind of people to select. The third one which you can see on the screen is all related with training and development. Now, in the case of training and development, training assessment is very important. How do we decide what kind of training has to be imparted? Because training can be of any kind. It could be related with communication, management, decision making, analysis part, or maybe new technological part, machinery part, internship training, apprenticeship training. There can be a number of trainings, but how do we make a decision what kind of training do we require? So, it is actually the matching of the job requirement with the training. So, if a job says that okay, a person should have a perfect knowledge about maybe HR analytics, then the person may be given some information or some training can be imparted related to HR analytics. Maybe if the training demands that okay, the person should be very good with their team building, so the training can be given to them related to the team building. So, it is just the matching of the needs. So, how do we make a decision on that? It is basically with the help of job analysis. So, job analysis is basically where I had discussed in my previous videos also, that in the case of job analysis there are two things. One is job description and one is job specification. So, once we have the description, it basically tells us about the duties and the responsibilities. But in the case of specification, it is all related with the minimum criteria that the person should fulfill to be eligible to apply, or maybe he is eligible to perform that role of a employee in that company. So, training and development, one of the objectives of job analysis is related with the T&D or training and development, because we can actually match the requirements. We can assess what kind of training is needed, and that in that same fashion the training can be given to people. The next point which you can see is all related with the job evaluation. Now, my dear friends, the job evaluation is a very simple concept. It talks about the deciding the worth of a job in terms of money. Supposing if you are doing a job, so everybody wants salary or wages. So, how do I make a decision how much money should be given to you? So, naturally there are certain parameters which will be taken into account. For example, if anyone is putting an effort or anyone is going outside or doing a lot of physical work, naturally the person is eligible to get more money as to the one compared who is sitting in an AC room and performing their task. So, in the case of job analysis, we can come to know what kind of requirement is needed. Maybe supposing if the person has to work in a very hazardous situation or risky areas, or maybe the person has to work in fumes and dust and sunlight. So, naturally the person is liable to get some more money. So, how do we make a decision on that? So, it is only on the basis of the job analysis that we decide the worth of a job in terms of money, or in other words, how much money should be paid by the company for a particular job profile. Then we can come to another point, that it talks about the salaries and incentives. So, salaries and incentives, again they are all interconnected. So, a person who is putting more effort is liable to get more salary and incentives. So, definitely it is all a part of our compensation only. Then another point or the objective of a job analysis which you can see on the screen is all related with the performance appraisal. Now, performance appraisal is basically, we know that we are matching that what the person actually has done. So, the standards are already set. So, we want to know that if the person has been able to live up to the expectation of the company, or the person has able to match the standard of the company or no. So, it is again on the basis of the performance appraisal or on the basis of job analysis, we know that okay, what was the person supposed to do and what he has actually done. So, if he has done better than that, that means the person is a very productive and an efficient employee of the company. And on the vice versa, what was expected and the person has not delivered the targets, or maybe has not been able to live up to the expectations of the company, that means the person is underperformed. So, definitely actions will be taken accordingly. So, how do we match the benchmark? It is only with the help of job analysis. So, that is one of the objectives, because it facilitates in the performance appraisal. Then another point which you can see on the screen is all related with the HRIS. Now, human resource information system basically takes into consideration the task, the plan and the use of human resource and to maintain other functions. So, in the case of HRIS basically helps in the improvement of the administrative efficiency. and it helps the manager to take rational decisions. So, the information which is related to the workforce working in an organization can only be obtained by the job analysis. Thus, job analysis is important for building information system and decision making. Then, on the right hand side of the chart, you can see something which is mentioned as safety and hazards. So, once we have prepared the job analysis, so the job analysis is basically job description and job specification. I will reiterate, job description is nothing but is just deciding about the duties and the responsibilities that one has to adhere to. And job specification is basically the minimum criteria that the person has to fulfill to perform a particular job task. So, with the help of job analysis, we can uncover the hazardous situation in which the person has to work. So, supposing if there is a person who has to go down in a mine and if the person has to work in a mine. So, the management can come to know that if a person is employed and the person has to work in a coal mine, then naturally PPP, that is the personal protection equipment, has to be provided to the employee. So, the company can actually take the decision on the basis of the job analysis that what kind of safety equipments or maybe safety covers one has to undertake. For example, if one is a firefighter. So, now we know that if one is a firefighter, then the person should have those attire and the safety cover, gloves and the boots, everything. So, how do we know that what the person is supposed to do? It is only with the help of the job analysis that we come to know that okay, there are hazardous things under or hazardous condition under which one has to perform. So, a job analysis helps us to uncover the areas where the person has to work. There may be some job profiles where the person has to work under dust or fume or maybe heat, maybe somebody has to work in a boiler condition, or maybe somebody has to work, one has to break the one has to break the stones. So, if a person is breaking the stones, so naturally one has to be very careful about the mask or maybe about his breathing problems. Or in other words, for example, if there is a person who is doing some kind of welding work. So, if the welding job is there, so we should know what kind of protection has to be given to the employee. So, we know that we have to give that protection or welding shield to the person, only then the person is going to work on the welding area. So, such are the examples which actually illustrate that we can come to know which are the hazardous conditions and what kind of precautions or the equipments they have to be provided by the management. Then we have the placement and orientation. So, of course, with the help of job analysis, we can actually understand that what kind of orientation one has to be given, what kind of information one has to be aware of, something related with health and safety, maybe related with the working culture, maybe related with the working environment, so on and so forth. So, these were the objectives of job analysis. Now, on the screen you can see the process of job analysis. Now basically it is said that job analysis is very easy to do, but once we come to the practical situation, we find it is very, very difficult to handle it, because in an organization there are so many departments, and when there are so many departments, there are so many job profiles. When there are so many job profiles, for every job profile the job analysis has to be done. So, it is a very tedious and a tiring task, but yes, once the people have actually prepared the job analysis for one particular job, they can move on and on, but simultaneously the changes can be made in the job analysis part, but yes, the prima facie the structure is all ready. So, let us have a look at the process of job analysis. The first one is determining the purpose of job analysis. Now, the whole process is useless unless the purpose is not defined and identified. So, one of the most important process of job analysis is that we have to know why are we actually collecting the data, or what kind of human capital do we need for a particular job. Second one is determining the job analysis part. Now, when we talk about the job analyst, there has to be somebody who is well versed with the job. So that the person is well aware with the intricacies of the job. So, it says that the determining the job analysis, basically we should know who are the people who are going to do the job analysis. So, anybody who is very experienced, anybody who has come from the industry, or anybody who has been doing that kind of task can only tell us better that what are the responsibilities and the duties that one has to actually adhere to. Then the third one is related with the identifying the method of the process. Now, it says that a crucial step is to communicate and explain the process to the managers, affected employees and the other concerned people such as unions. So, the explanation should address the natural concerns and anxiety people have when someone puts their job under the close scrutiny. Items to be covered often include the purpose of the job analysis, the steps involved, the time schedules, how managers and employees will participate, who is going to do it, whom to contact, so on and so questions will be answered. So, when employees are represented by a union, so it becomes quite essential that the union representatives should be included in reviewing the job description and the specification. Lastly, it talks about the training to the person who are conducting the analysis part. Now, we know that people who are going to conduct the job analysis part, they should be well versed with it. So, there are so many stakeholders who will be getting affected by the job analysis part. So, definitely it could be the employees, it could be the management, it could be the unions also. So, that is why it is always said that the unions, they should be a part of the entire structure where they are job analysis part is being conducted. So, definitely people who are going to conduct the job analysis, they should be given some kind of training beforehand, so they understand what are the things to be included and what are the things to be excluded. Then the next step is related with the deciding upon the process. Now, we have to collect information about particular job. So, there can be different ways by which the information can be collected. Now, this information can be with the help of questionnaires, it can be with the help of observation, it can be with the help of interviews, it can be with the help of feedback forms. So, we have to collect information from different sources, and once we collect data or information from different sources, that information has to be compiled in the best possible manner. Only then we can come to know what are the specifications or what are the descriptions of a particular job. Now, for example, if I talk about a production manager, I am looking forward for a production manager position. So, I should know what all he or she is supposed to perform, or maybe what are the time limits, or what are the kind of machinery they will be working on, what kind of tools and equipment they will be requiring, what kind of supervision they will be doing it, in which environment will they be working it, whether the environment is hazardous, whether they have to work in AC environment, whether they have to work outside, whether they have to be on toes, so on and so forth. Another example, for example, if there is a civil engineer and if the building has to be constructed. So, in the case of construction of the building, so naturally an engineer or civil engineer, he or she has to work on toes, or an architect has to work on toes all the time. The architect has to go out in the sun also to see whether the building is being constructed rightly or not. And then of course, the person has to do a lot of indoor work also, maybe something related with designing part, or maybe the plant layout or structure, so on and so forth. So, we need to collect data from various sources, that okay, if a person is being recruited for a particular job, what all he or she is supposed to be performing. Then we talk about the gather of information, that is what I just discussed, that there can be different ways by which the data can be collected. Now, the sources have been identified, that which are the sources, maybe with the help of questionnaire, interviews, or maybe exit interviews, or maybe feedback forms, so on and so forth. But what kind of information we are going to collect? So, that is the moot point. So, the information, it can be related with the skills, it can be related with the knowledge, it can be related with the abilities, it can be related with the competencies, it can be related with maybe the reporting hierarchy, it can be related with working conditions, anything which is related with human traits, job activities, duties, maybe job family, maybe something which is related with working condition, so on and so forth. So, data can be collected through different sources, but what is more important is what kind of data is being collected, because collection of data takes a lot of time and energy. So, we have to ensure that any kind of information which is being collected, that doesn't goes in vain. So, the data which we have, it is something which we actually wanted to collect. So, people should have perfect idea, anything which, as I told you, anything related with skills, anything related with knowledge, or maybe the abilities, or maybe what kind of job family particular job belongs to. For example, if I talk about stitching of a shoe, so we know that okay, this will go into the stitching department, or maybe the designing department. So, there can be a lot of intricacies which can be involved with the data collection, but above all, what is more important is that the data which we are collecting, it should be relevant, accurate and updated. Another step, it talks about the evaluation and verification of the data. So once the data has been collected, we have collected data from various sources. Okay, for one particular job, what all will be needed, anything related with skills, or maybe time schedules, or maybe anything related with people they are performing the job, or duties and authorities and responsibilities, so on and so forth. So, but at least that data has to be authenticated. So, how we are going to get the data authenticated? It is only possible with the help of experts. People who are stalwarts and in particular those industries, we can always reach out to them and ask that the data which we have collected, to what an extent that data is perfectly fine or not, or according to them, what should be added more. For example, if there is a company secretary, for example. So, if anyone is being recruited for a company secretary, so one should know what all tasks he or she is supposed to perform. For example, it can be related with the compliances, it can be related with management, it can be related with administration, it can be related with licensing. So, at least there are 4 broad heads that, okay, if a person is going to join as a company secretary, these are the tasks that have to be performed. So, that task, they have to be authenticated by the people who are the stalwarts of that particular industry or of that particular area. And lastly, as you can see on the screen, that there we go with the preparation of the job description and job specification. That means once the data has been collected through various sources of like a questionnaire or interviews, or maybe exit interviews, feedback forms, so on and so forth. So, once the data has been collected, we have just collected data from left, right, everywhere. Now is the time to segregate the data and properly put the data under respective heads, so that we can get a concise job description of a particular job and a job specification for a particular job profile. Then on the screen, which you can see, it says that techniques of data collection and job analysis. My dear friends, a big question: why do we need data, or why do we need information? The simple answer to this question is because whenever we collect data or information, we are always doing something which is known as decision making. So, for the purpose of decision or making decisions, we need to have accurate and up-to-date data. So, any data not only related with job analysis, the data can be collected by people for various purposes. It can be for marketing, there can be data for IT, of course for HR the data is there, or maybe for other purposes. But whenever we collect data, it is only for the purpose of making decisions. So, and these decisions which we make, they have a long lasting impact on the entire functioning of the company. One has to remember this, because if any wrong decision is made by one company, it can have a bad effect, or it can be detrimental to the interest of the entire company. For example, there have been number of companies where decision making has been on the back foot. So, because of the wrong decisions taken by the top executives, the company has to be shut down. So, at any point of time, the decisions which are taken, they have to be well thought, judicious decisions which have to be taken, and the well thought and judicious decisions can only be taken once we have proper data. So, in the case of job analysis, as I told you, that there can be different ways by which we can collect data. For example, as you can see on the screen, first is the observation. By simply observing a person, we can understand what the person is required to perform. For example, if a person is there in a marketing department, we can actually observe and see, okay, the person has to do this, the person has to do this, the person has to do the advertisement, the person has to do the licensing part, the person has to go down and get connected with the people, okay, the person has to go and get these suggestions and the feedback. So, by simply observing also we can get some information. The second one, it talks about the interview. That is one of the best ways that, okay, we can straight away talk to the people who have been performing the task, and we can also ask about the intricacies related with that task. Okay, what you were doing, how did you do, what improvement do you expect, what kind of changes do you want, so on and so forth. The next one is related with the questionnaire. Now, when we have the questionnaire, now questionnaire is nothing but it's just a structured form where we have got number of questions. So, these questions, they can be open-ended questions, they can be close-ended questions, they can be dichotomous question. Dichotomous question basically means yes and no questions, or maybe the checklist questions. So, with the blending of the different kind of questions which we have in the questionnaire, we can actually find out the various contents of a job. Then we have the checklist. Now, if a person is doing any job, so we can have the checklist, okay, for a particular job, what all you need. For example, it can be anything. For example, if there is a software engineer, So if there's a software engineer, the checklist would be, okay, the person should be well equipped with the softwares, then there should be proper backup, there should be a computer system, the softwares, they should be well installed, so on and so forth. So this will differ for different job categories. So for example, if there is a class 4th employee, then for a class 4th employee, we have to understand whether, okay, when he has to work, what would be the time schedule, which area he has to work, what all things he require. He would be requiring the mopping and the sweeping material, or maybe the detergent, or maybe the phenyl, so on and so forth. So at least we can come to know what are the requirements of the people and what things or what protections equipments have to be provided by the management. So by having those checklists also, we can understand, okay, these are the things that person needs. That means the person has to perform these tasks also. Then we talk about the technical conference. The conference is nothing but again a method of collection of the data from people. In the conference, we have large number of people coming from various backgrounds, and they share their experiences. Okay, I was in this industry, I used to perform this, I used to do this, I used to do that. So from the experiences of the people who stand up at the podium and speak, we can collect lot of data. And lastly, it talks about the diary method. That means, over the period of time, lot of data has been accumulated, and we have been maintaining a system that what all is needed in a particular job. So we have made a checklist, we have done the things, but just for the better job analysis, we can go for other methods of data collection. Then what is more important is, again, this chart is all related from my HR book only, people who collect data. Now, it is like, who are the people who are going to collect data? So, definitely they can be, as you can see, there can be 3. Firstly, it talks about the trained job analyst. So, job trained analyst basically means they are the ones who have, they know thick and thin about the entire job. They know from pin to plane everything about the job. So, in case if they ask you that, okay, sir, we are looking for this kind of candidate, or we are trying to create such a job profile in our organization, so what the person is expected to do. So, immediately these trained people, they'll tell you, okay, he is supposed to do this, he is supposed to do that, he will be sitting here, he will be having this time shift, this will be the job location, this will be the job title, and the person has to stand up and do the job, or maybe the person has to sit and do the job all the time. So, intricacies of the job, they can be well discussed by the people who are well trained or the other trained analyst. Then secondly, we can come to know with the help of supervisors. So, definitely supervisors are the ones who had actually worked in that particular position, and now they have moved on to the next level. So, they can better tell us, okay, these are the requirements for the person who will be joining the company in this capacity or in X capacity. So, they can also help us immediately with the collection of the data, or they can tell us that what would be the job responsibilities and the duties of the person who will be shouldering this task. Then it talks about the job holders and incumbents. So, basically job holders, they are the ones who tell us, job holders, they are the people who are doing the job. They tell us while doing that job, I am supposed to do this also. When I do this job, I am supposed to do this also. So, they are the people who can tell us about the job collection. Then on the screen, we can see that what kind of information is being provided in the job analysis. So, basically we collected information related with the job identification, anything related with job title, job code number, characteristic, job location, physical settings, job duties, the equipment and the material used, how a job is to be done, the kind of operations one has to take care of, or the personnel attributes, the mental capacity, or anything which is related with training, social skills, communication skills, so on and so forth. And lastly, it talks about the job relationship. That means opportunities for advancement, working condition, essential cooperation, etc. So, the information which you can see on the board, it basically tells us that once the data has been collected, the most important point is that what kind of data is being collected. So, the data is all related to these things which are mentioned on the slide. Anything which is related with the training part, anything related with the supervision part, maybe the physical setting, maybe the training part, or maybe anything which is related with the material, the environment, so on and so forth. Then so basically, once we know that information is needed, then the another sources, like we have already discussed about the sources, but here what is more important is that the questionnaires that we float, they can be of different level, right? So it's like job analysis part, the data that we collect is important. So the questionnaire is again gathered with the help of information is gathered with the help of questionnaire, and people who have already done the job, they can give us a better insight into the current jobs, or maybe the people who have been observing, they can give us the bird's eye view, what is all needed. Okay, if a person is coming for a particular job, what information the person should have, what kind of skill the person should possess, so on and so forth. And lastly, talks about the job incumbent. That means if a job incumbent keeps his or her diary or log updated, so definitely we can come to know what are the duties and responsibilities that one has to undertake. And lastly, as I told you, that information may be gathered with the help of interviews of the people concerned. So people who are doing the task, they can give us a better insight. So this is all from me related to the job analysis. This is just the first part. I shall be continuing with the job analysis part in my next lecture also. Stay tuned and thank you.